My mom gave my wedding dress to my sister, so I wore her divorce papers down the aisle. What happened next left everyone speechless. I always knew I was the backup daughter, the spare, the one who did everything right, got decent grades, stayed out of trouble, but somehow always lived in the shadow of my younger sister, Candace. If she cried, my mother bought her a pony. If I cried, I was told to get over it. But I tolerated it. For years. Until the week before my wedding, when my mother crossed a line she could never uncross. Let's rewind for a second. My fiancé, Tyler, and I had been together for 4 years. He was the kind of man you dream about. Quietly thoughtful, brilliant in the ways that matter, and fiercely loyal. When he proposed, I knew I didn't just want a wedding. I wanted a celebration that showed the world how far I'd come from being the forgotten daughter. I'd finally built a life I was proud of. The dress was special, a custom piece. Ivory satin, long sleeves, a low back, embroidered with delicate pearls. I'd spent months saving for it, and when I saw it in the mirror, I cried. For the first time, I felt beautiful, like the main character. I kept it at my parents' house for safekeeping. Big mistake. 1 week before my wedding, I stopped by the house to pick it up. My mom greeted me with a tight smile, the kind she gave me when she was about to drop a bomb disguised as a compliment. "Don't be mad," she said. Instantly, my heart dropped. She motioned toward the living room, and there was Candace, twirling, in my wedding dress. I thought I was hallucinating. Maybe this was a prank. But no. Candace beamed, did a little spin, and said, "It fits perfectly, doesn't it?" I turned to my mother, trembling. "Where is mine?" She had the audacity to wave her hand like I was being dramatic. "It is yours. But sweetie, Candace is getting married first now. She and Jake are eloping next weekend, and we didn't have time to get her a dress. You can just find another one. You're resourceful." Another one? A week before my wedding? My custom dress? Gone? They had altered it to fit her. Took in the waist, hemmed it, changed the neckline, ruined it. I couldn't speak. My mouth opened, but the words wouldn't come. It wasn't just the dress. It was the message. Once again, Candace's needs, her timeline, her fantasy mattered more than mine. I left without a word, got in my car, drove in silence. Then I cried. Not for the dress, not even for the wedding. I cried because I finally saw it clearly. My mother didn't see me as a daughter. I was just a placeholder. Until that moment, I was still playing by their rules. But something snapped in me that day. And I decided I wasn't going to be silent anymore. My mother's weakness was her obsession with appearances. She played the part of the devoted wife, the picture-perfect matriarch. But I knew the truth. The truth she thought I'd forgotten. You see, 3 years ago, my father had filed for divorce. Quietly, without making it public. He had evidence of years of emotional abuse, financial manipulation, and even an affair she had with one of his golf buddies. The divorce papers were damning. But then they reconciled. Supposedly. Dad withdrew the petition, and they made a deal. Everything would be swept under the rug if she signed a post-nup that stripped her of most marital assets in the event of another separation. She signed, then forced everyone to forget it ever happened. Everyone except me. I had a scanned copy of those papers. I'd seen them one night when Dad left his email open during a family dinner. I took a screenshot and buried it in a folder marked Recipes. So I made a decision. If my mother wanted a show, I'd give her one. I bought a simple white dress online. $47, long, sleek, nothing flashy. But what I paired it with? That's what made history. I printed out the divorce papers, all 38 pages, shrunk them, folded them, sewed them into the lining of the dress, trailing from my waist like a veil of truth. Each step I took down the aisle, the soft rustle of legal consequences followed me. I arrived at the venue calm, composed, radiant. Everyone smiled at me, none the wiser. Until I reached the altar, that's when I turned to face the guests, took the mic from the officiant, and said, "Before we begin, I just want to acknowledge someone very special who helped make this day possible, my mother." There were polite chuckles. She beamed from the front row. Candace, sitting smugly beside her, gave me a condescending thumbs up. I continued, voice steady. "My mother, who raised me to be gracious, forgiving, and apparently okay with being walked over. But today I decided to give her something back. I gestured to the train of my dress. You see this? These are the divorce papers my father filed against my mother 3 years ago. Full custody of assets, infidelity proof, and a sworn affidavit of emotional abuse. Gasps. Audible, sharp, delicious. My mother went pale. My father, who had no idea what I was planning, sat up straight in his chair like someone had fired a starter pistol at a track meet. Mom, you stole my dress, so I borrowed something of yours. Fair trade, right? Candace stood up, angry, red-faced. You're ruining everything. No, I said, you and Mom did that. This is just the sequel. The crowd erupted. My aunt literally stood and started clapping. My mother shouted something unintelligible, but I raised my hand and continued. I wore these papers down the aisle because they symbolize everything I won't tolerate anymore. Lies, favoritism, manipulation. Today isn't just a wedding. It's a declaration. I'm not your scapegoat. I'm not the backup. I'm done pretending we're a family when I'm just the inconvenience you dress up for appearances. My mother tried to leave, but my father blocked her path. For the first time in years, he looked proud. Not ashamed of me, not apologetic, just proud. The officiant looked like he wanted to crawl into the nearest potted plant. But Tyler? Tyler was grinning from ear to ear. He whispered, I've never loved you more. And we got married. Right then. Right there. As for the aftermath? My mother went ballistic. She tried to sue me for emotional distress, but it didn't go anywhere. Not with the kind of dirt those papers had. My dad, inspired by the spectacle, refiled for divorce within a month. This time, he didn't back out. Candace's elopement? Canceled. Her fiancé didn't like being associated with that circus. Turns out, he had his doubts about marrying someone who thought stealing a dress was no big deal. The video of my speech went viral. I never posted it. Someone else did. Within days, I was the star of r/weddings horror stories, TikTok, and Twitter. Headlines read, Bride wears mother's divorce papers down the aisle, calls out family in savage speech. Even strangers cheered me on. Now, I live peacefully with Tyler in a new city. We laugh about it sometimes, not because it was funny, but because I finally stood up for myself. And it worked. Sometimes the only way to reclaim your voice is to let the truth speak louder than the lies. And sometimes, the dress isn't the most powerful thing you wear.